Broadcast has been set.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in and being patient with us this evening. We've had some technical difficulties, but we hope to get through this evening. Welcome to the Board of Education, Prince George's County Board of Education's January 13, 2022 meeting. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to turn off wireless communication devices to avoid any technical interference with the microphones and taping of the meeting. Except when it is time to vote to speak, please mute your microphones to avoid background noise. I will ask board members to raise their hands when they wish to speak, and then ask those calling in if they wish to speak. Closed captioning should be available through live YouTube streaming for the deaf and hard of hearing community. For those who are not able to observe now, this meeting is being recorded and information will be on the board's webpage.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
May I interrupt for just 1 second and
Yes,
allow Mia to start the recording for the Spanish interpretation instructions?
Thank you.
Ms. Martin, we are not able to hear any of that.
You can't hear anything?
No.
Okay, let me try it again. Let me try to launch it again. I'm not sure what happened. I do apologize. I'm trying to get it. I'm not sure why it's not working. Let me try to share my screen again. We did a test on this and it worked fine.
We do have a few interpreters on this line. Is it possible for one of them to articulate that verbally to the audience?
Recording in progress.
Wilbur, are you still on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please make the announcement because the recording is not working?
Of course. Buenas tardes, muchas gracias por acompañarnos esta noche a esta reunión de la Junta Educativa para el Condado de Prince George. Si usted desea escuchar el programa en español, por favor seleccione en la parte inferior de su aplicación de Zoom en el servicio Interpretación. Usted va a pulsar el globo y luego seleccionará el idioma español. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos esta noche.
Thank you very much. Now we will move to items 2.3, 2.2 and 2.3. The board member Judy Nickens Murray will give the prayer and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Board Member Nickens Murray. Now we will have the roll call by Ms. Ellis.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Here.
Mrs. Ahmed, I didn't hear you.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Boozer Strother,
Here.
Mr. Saron Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Montero, I'm sorry, Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Here.
Mr. Montero,
Here.
Mr. Murray,
Here.
Mrs. Queen,
Present.
Mr. Thomas,
Here.
Mr. Valentine,
Here.
Mrs. Williams,
Present.
Dr. Miller.
Present. I'm just going to make a special note that because I have asked that all board members show that they are physically present, that you turn your cameras on to be recognized. Thank you. With that, we will move to item 2.5, the adoption of the agenda for January 13th, 2022. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make
I
a
move that we accept the agenda.
second.
It has been moved that we accept the agenda. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, then may I have, I'll call for the vote. Roll call.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Saron Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Harris is absent. Ms. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Montero,
Aye.
Mr. Murray,
Aye.
Mrs. Queen,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas,
Aye.
Mr. Valentine,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Okay.
We will now go into item 2.7. Ms. Ellis or Mr. Cooper, would you let Mr. Thurman Jones in? While they're letting him in, each month now, we have been introducing and highlighting people in our school system, outside of our school system, or who have made some contributions to this county, whether they've been former students or current teachers or administrators. Tonight, I'd like to introduce what I'm referring to as the unsung partners. And these are people, this is giving recognition to our unsung partners of Prince George's County Public Schools. We're highlighting their accomplishments and triumphs achieved behind the spotlight. Tonight's honoree is Mr. Thurman Jones, who has served as the founder and president of the Patriots Technology Training Center, a nonprofit, their STEM program. He's the founder and president, and he has been serving this organization based in Prince George's County for 25 years. He has successfully developed programs, competitions, promoting science, technology, engineering, and math for the community youth. Their parents, families, community organizers, local businesses, government agencies, and corporate partners in a variety of service learning settings, promoting academic achievement and future STEM career planning. As a visionary, Mr. Jones has embarked upon a timeless mission to increase the number of students focusing on STEM as a career path. I'm getting feedback. Would you mute everyone, please, except me? Who's the host?
I'm like it's coming from.
I don't know where, but it's annoying. Would you mute everyone, please?
Everyone is muted except for the Spanish interpreters, but they're not on this line.
Okay, well, that's probably where, I guess that's where the noise is coming from. I'm asking everyone to mute. Let's see, as a visionary, Mr. Jones has embarked upon a timeless mission to increase the number of students grades 5 through 12, focusing on STEM as a career path. He has partnered with federal government agencies, national and state chapters of STEM, and the National Society of Black Engineers. He has formulated one of the largest junior chapters of the National Chapter of Engineers. Okay. His STEM competitions are well known throughout the country, and many organizations have followed his concept in getting more students involved by having them form teams and compete in STEM competitions. Please join me in recognizing Mr. Thurman Jones, one of our county's best of the best and unsung heroes. Where is Mr. Jones on? Would you like to make a comment? You have to unmute yourself, Mr. Jones, and we don't see your picture. Mr. Jones.
Yes, I do apologize. I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, first off, thank you, Dr. Miller and the board, Prince George County School Board. Thank you for recognizing the Patriots Technology Training Center. As Dr. Miller stated, we've been here for 25 years. And I always say we have a lot of students that make more money than I do at bigger homes. So I'm really proud of the support I get from the school system, and also really proud of the students that have came through our program. And they're doing quite well. Well, they're in the military, working with federal government, they have started their own business, or they're working in the educational arena at colleges. So first of all, second of all, thank you for this award of recognizing me. And I'm looking forward for another 25 years to continue to build the pipeline for our future engineers in Prince George's County, Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman Jones. I believe the chair is speaking, but she's on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jones, and thank you, Board Member Williams. We appreciate your service. We thank you on behalf of the board, as well as the administration, the students who get served by your program throughout the years. We do have a certificate and a gift of item of recognition for you. So when we get an opportunity to meet in person, we hope you will come back again so that we can publicly present it to you. Again, thank you.
Like, if you don't mind, take 30 seconds to put a plug in the esports tournament, February the 5th. So you'll be getting an email or a flyer from me. So check out our esports tournament, where we'll get more students to play video games, but also to learn about the STEM careers in the video game industry. Everyone have a good night, and thanks to Dr. Miller and the entire school board members.
Thank you. And Mr. Jones also had, I have to throw in a reading program that he promoted for, he asked some board members, well, he's extended the invitation, I'm sure, to all board members and other teachers and community people to take an hour to come and read to our students. And this particular session was all about the L's, I think. So the letter L's. So Mr. Jones is doing a little bit more, even more than just STEM. He is giving back a lot to our students and our staff. With that, I'll move, again, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, have a good evening.
And be safe, thank you. Next, I'll move to item 2.8, the report of the chair. First, I'd like to congratulate the Prince George's County Public Schools immersion programs. The programs have been selected as one of 5 of the 2022 Silver Magna award winners in over 20,000 enrollment category. That's significant. Our district and the other Magna Award winners will be featured in the April issue of American School Board Journal. A reception will be held at the National School Board Association's annual conference in April in San Diego to honor the winners. So I'm hoping that most of our board members will be able to attend. So let's give our system a hand. I mean, 5 out of 20,000, that's really significant. Now I will move on, and I'd like to thank the administration for submitting that application, and thank you. We'll move to a moment of silence. Colleagues, at this time, I ask that you join me in honoring the memory of our civil servants, students, and employees. The first I'd like to recognize is one of my former colleagues on another board that I served, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, the Honorable Henry Hank Arrington, who is the former mayor of Seat Pleasant, and as I indicated, a former WSSC commissioner. The next is the Honorable Nathaniel Exum, who is a former senator for the 25th Legislative District, whom I had the privilege of serving with, and he served as my mentor when I was in Annapolis, and even after I came out from Annapolis. The next is Edwin Macias, a student at Stephen Decatur Middle School. Bernadette Crawford, a teacher, Kingsport Elementary School. Kevin R. White, building equipment operator at the Sasser Administration Building, Building Services. Blessing Mebuying, teacher at Maya Angelou French Immersion School. Michael A. Ross, paraprofessional educator, Berwyn Heights Elementary School. Desiree Williams, food services assistant, Parkdale High School. Jessica Thicken, professional school counselor, Samuel Ogle Middle School. Andrea Williams, paraprofessional educator at Suitland High School. We extend our thoughts and our prayers to the families of for their losses of their loved ones. Please check our webpage for information about upcoming virtual board meetings. And I will call out, give you information on those pending. On Wednesday, January 19th, the Climate Control Action Plan Focus Work Group will have their virtual meeting beginning at 3:30 p.m. The Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs Committee will meet also the same day, January 19th at 5 p.m. And on Monday, January 24th, the Academic Achievement Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. The Policy and Governance Committee will meet at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 25th. On Thursday, January 27th, we will have the first of 3 board budget work sessions and the fiscal year 2023 budget public hearings. The second will be the Thursday, February 3rd, with the final meeting on February 10th. Only those who have registered for public comment are permitted to speak. Again, please check our webpage for information about upcoming virtual board meetings. And I'd like to, one other item I wanted to mention and thank our CEO on the successful town hall meeting that was held last night, in which 20,000 persons called in. And out of that 20,000, there were about 4 questions which were more than adequately responded to. And the reception appears to have been very receptive in terms of the plan that our CEO has laid out for the return to school. So if there are any questions, check our website or check the website first. I think all the information will be there before I tell you to call anyone. Thank you. So now, and maybe Mr. Burnett may want you to call him. We can go to 2.9, where Mr. Howard Burnett, who is sitting in for our CEO, who is on travel, to present the CEO's report. Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Chair Miller. It's certainly a pleasure to sit in for Dr. Golson. And as mentioned, I'll start off by stating last night, Dr. Golson partnered with Prince George's County Health Officer, Dr. Ernest Carter, to host a town hall meeting for all stakeholders to share new information about health and safety and the return to in-person learning on January 18th. As you mentioned, more than 20,000 employees, family members, and students took part as we discussed new COVID preventative measures, including distribution of home test kits and KN95 masks, random student testing for COVID-19, and protocols for uploading test results and returning to partner with and also returning to school after contracting or being exposed to COVID-19. We are also continuing to partner with Prince George's County Health Department to host vaccination clinics in schools. For details and to listen to a recording of the Teletown Hall, visit our website. As a reminder, in-person learning will resume Tuesday, January 18, following the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Students in the K-6 virtual learning program will return on Monday, January 31st. We are still experiencing a school bus driver shortage, which is causing route delays, as it is across the country. Our transportation team is working overtime to recruit and hire qualified full-time drivers. We encourage anyone out there who's available and qualified to apply. Families can find their designated bus stop by searching on our website info finder or use Stop Finder bus app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Families must have an email address on file in SchoolMax to be invited to view the student's bus schedule. Athletics and practices will also resume on January 18, and unvaccinated athletes will continue to be tested weekly for COVID-19. No spectators will be allowed at athletic events through the end of January, and then beginning February 1st, attendance at athletic events will be limited to a 25% building capacity. Prince George's County Public Schools is developing the calendar in concert with the board for 2022-2023 school year. This is the last week to submit your feedback to help us develop a calendar that best meets the needs of our school community. Please review the 3 draft options and share your input on our website by tomorrow, January 14. The lottery application window for 2022-2023 Talented and Gifted program opened on January 12th, and it closes on March 23rd. Tag Center school programs offer a full-day advanced, enriched, and intensive instructional program to meet the needs of highly able students. Students who meet criteria for tag identification may apply for next school year through the lottery process. Thank you to staff, families, and families who have been patient and supportive as we adapt to the ever-changing pandemic environment. We will continue to collaborate with state and local health departments to assess data and make the best decisions. Our goal remains to keep our schools open safely, and we believe that we can do so by following the science and proven mitigation strategies. Wear a mask, stay at home if you're sick, complete a permission slip for your child to be randomly selected for weekly testing. We increased that random testing from 10% to 20% of our students, and please get fully vaccinated. Your health and safety is our top priority. Thank you, Chair Miller, and this concludes the CEO's report.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Any questions? I see Board Member Queen's hand.
Thank you so much for recognizing me, Madam Chair. Mr. Burnett, we do thank y'all so very much for the call, the town hall on yesterday. And I know Madam Chair was so very nice in saying that it was a successful town hall, but I hear the other side a lot of the complaints where people are very unsatisfied because they were on the call before 5 o'clock. They waited to speak. They got called in 20 minutes to ask their question, and then their question wasn't heard. They felt like people kept saying we kept 7 people from Upper Marlboro and Beltsville and Greenbelt, nobody from Capitol Heights and District Heights. So I'm very concerned about that. Some people felt like there was speakers were already chosen for speakers who are to speak. So my question to you is, when people are giving questions, like a couple of people said they would ask their question, the name was taken, but their question was never said. Do we get back to these people by any form necessary, or did they just sit on that call, took their question, and we give them nothing?
Yes, and of course, with 20,000 employees and community members and students on board during an hour session, it is a challenge to address a number of questions. We typically try to look at questions that are duplicates so that we can take a question that many individuals are asking, but then also we encourage our public, our parents, community members to take the opportunity to send their questions in also. Every day we get a number of questions, as you all know, because board members participate in those questions and your staff do also, and send them to the CEO. And the CEO takes just so many different questions on a daily basis and provides the response to those questions actually the same day with staff members and receive. So we certainly encourage any who were not heard to send those questions in to the CEO's account. If they just pull up CEO for Prince George's County Public Schools, we'll receive those questions and respond back to them. But we typically answer the questions that are most being asked by a large number during that short time period.
Okay, so thank you for that. But another alarming thing is, as we're talking about returning back to school, which is one of the things that was on the call on yesterday, we're trying to figure out feedback from somewhere, you guys. How people will be 3 feet apart. That was concerning to a lot of people, and it's more concerning when we know that some of our classes have already been overcrowded with over 30, 35 and 40 kids. And a lot of our teachers have complained about that. So parents and people are concerned, and they're concerned because that question was not answered. It's not on our website. So people are very concerned, especially with this new variant. And we're talking about sending not just the kids who were out until the 18th, but the kids who have been out online. So we're talking about having more kids in school. So it's a lot more things that our community, our teachers, and our parents, they want answers to. So I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Unfortunately, me and a couple board members may have to host a town hall, but it's questions that people still have asking, and they want answers to these questions. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Board Member Queen. And I just like to note that they took a poll last night in terms of attendees, and it was 80% were parents that tuned in. So it was 80% plus. Yeah, I don't remember, but I know it was in the 80s. Thank you, Board Member Queen. Board Member Adam Stafford.
Yes, thank you. So I had 2 questions. I wanted to know if you could elaborate more about our district's policy regarding, or our stance on shortened quarantine time. If you could explain if we will be following that, or continuing with what we have currently. And then also the testing kit and mask distribution. I wanted to know, is that something that school leaders are going to be in charge of, or community group? How will those be distributed?
Thank you, Board Member Adam Stafford. Certainly, we just posted new guidelines that we received from the state and county health department with regard to our quarantine days, and we'll follow that specifically. It even addresses the number of students in a classroom that tests positive to shut down that classroom, or what is defined as an outbreak in a school. So we encourage and encourage the public and all to look at those new standards that we go by. And certainly each time we receive new standards from the state and our county health department, we post those, and those are the standards that we go by. So it does address the shortened time for those that are fully vaccinated. And then what we also do, with regard to notification when there is a positive COVID test. With regard to the distribution of the KN95 mask and the test kits, they will be distributed at each school to each student each week. And then those test results uploaded for each individual school by a parent of that school for their student. But those kits will be distributed to students once a week for 3 straight weeks.
Just a clarifying question. With them upload, is this something that can be uploaded in a mobile fashion, or does it require a laptop, or how can we support parents that may not be able to access that?
Yeah, it can be, it'll be uploaded by, by a cell phone, certainly. Any mobile device will provide that opportunity just by taking a picture of the results and then upload it. We'll have some complete directions for each parent, and each school will support those efforts. And any parent that has a challenge with regard to uploading, each school will support those parents and receive the information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before round 2 with Board Member Queen, Mr. Burnett, the position of COVID coordinator, will that be in all schools, or is it just?
Yes, there'll be an individual position that has come through the state and federal grant, which provides a staff member to work in concert with the administration and staff of the school and parents to handle the COVID cases and to follow through on uploading information on the activity in the individual school. So each school will have one of those staff members.
Thank you. Just in case board members weren't aware of that. Board Member Queen.
Thank you so very much again, Madam Chair. Mr. Burnett, thank you guys so very much. I just want to say you've been doing an awesome job. And Dr. Golson, I know she's been making the best decisions that she can make. But one of the concerns I'm worried about is as our kids return back to the school with the buses. I know a lot of our teachers are complaining about class sizes and kids, but when you talk about 30 kids being on a bus actually will fit two or three buses sometimes can fit in the classroom. So you're talking about 30 kids on a little bus, which is much smaller than a classroom. As I was given the privilege and the opportunity, which I truly appreciate, you guys give me the opportunity to ride the bus. One of the things I noticed is that we picked up from an elementary school kid, then we went elementary school kids, my John Bain kids, which I'm very proud of. Then we went to Suitland High School, which was really so nice. And then we went to Walkerville. But what I didn't notice, and I noticed Mr. Fawcett is on, what I didn't see through that is anybody hand sanitizing any of these kids' hand, but they all got on the bus. No seats were wiped down. So I just want to make sure that we're sanitizing, definitely, because you're talking about, especially with my elementary school kids. High school kids are big enough that I would hope smart enough to know to sanitize their hands. But my elementary school kids, I really must stipulate that when they get on the bus, I really think the schools, if we're gonna get the bus drivers or somebody to sanitize their hands, because they're getting on the bus sometimes where other people have been on that bus. and it's a little dreamy. So what are we doing to make sure that, especially with this next variant, that we're protecting these kids as they're getting on that bus?
Mr. Fawcett, or
Yeah, I'm gonna respond, Mr. Burnett. Let me jump in there because Board Member Queen has actually brought that to our attention already. And we cycle back with transportation, Dr. Saunders. And what we've asked is for the bus drivers to actually continue to do what they were given materials to do, and that is actually to wipe down the seats with the disinfection between the runs that you have, because as you experienced, a bus will have multiple schools in the morning and the afternoon. But we have also explored the fact of bringing hand sanitizers onto the bus to just present that opportunity for kids to use that as they get on. I mean, as you should have experienced, we want to keep the windows cracked or the upper roof to keep the airflow, because as we know, most transmissions take place not really by touch or transmission by objects, as the science has proved, but it does take place through breath and water droplets. So if we can maintain students having the mask on, as you know, we provided masks, and we are now, as Mr. Burnett said, upgrading to K95 masks that we give out, because once again, the science has proved with the Omicron that it is a more contagious variant, that we're trying to make sure that staff and students are protected even more with this new variant. So we will continue to do that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we will continue to work with each and every bus driver and to make sure that the safest precautions are put into place.
Thank you so very much for the answer to my questions. That's it, Madam Chair. It was a cool breeze on the bus, so thank you so very much.
thank you. Board Member Stafford.
Yes, I was just asking a question regarding the contact tracing at the schools. Just two things. In terms of have the staff members that will be doing that work, have they already been designated and trained and assigned? And will there be more than one staff member at larger schools? And I know that some parents came to the board with some concerns about sort of the chain of command in regards to testing and not receiving notification in time. And, if we're going to be increasing the amount of students that we're testing, I'm just trying to get an understanding of if there will be more staff allocated towards processing those results.
Yes, at this time, we are adding the one individual through the grant funds, but we're continuing to utilize staff in those facilities. And, the larger the school, the more staff members that they actually have with regard to administrators and other support personnel that can assist in ways possible.
Any additional questions? Were you through, Board Member Adam Stafford? Any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Burnett and Dr. Fawcett. We will now move to our public comment agenda item. Colleagues, we have.
Point of order, Madam Chair. We skipped over item 210.
I apologize. You've been very, very, very helpful this evening in catching all of these things. I am so glad that I have the benefit of your extra set of eyes. Thank you. And item 210, the progress report from our Policy and Governance Committee Chair. Chair now. Board Member Ahmed, please present your report.
Thank you, Board Member Miller. Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here today with everyone to be able to present this progress report on the Policy and Governance Committee of the Board of Education. As a reminder for folks, I am the Vice Chair of the Policy and Governance Committee for our board, and I'm joined on that committee with Board Members Williams, Saron Ruiz, Mickens Murray, and Board Member Miller as an ex officio member. And so just to give folks an overview of what the Policy and Governance Committee does, we're charged with facilitating the short and long-term range strategic planning for the school system, specifically providing oversight of board policy, legislative and governmental matters. So we also do, practically what we do is that we look at our policies to make sure that they're current and compliant with laws and also with best practices in public education. So this school year, the committee has reviewed and discussed a lot of different policies in order to further advance the PGCPS goal of providing an excellent education for our students and also for empowering our communities. I'll go through a couple of the policies that we're looking at now, and for any colleagues or members of the public that would like to follow along, there is a document that's uploaded to Board Docs that goes through the current status of all of the policies that we have reviewed or that we are going through right now. The first one here, and I'll try and be as brief as I can as I go through these items, but the first policy is Board Policy 0107. That's our ethics policy. And so currently the committee is looking at that. We just voted at our last committee meeting to have administration provide some additional modifications to that policy. The next policy 0114 is on school uniforms. This policy was actually enacted by our Board of Education in November of 2021, but it won't be effective until July of 2022 this year. And the updates that were provided to that policy basically included adding a sunset provision, incorporated a current uniform program approval process, and essentially made the school level uniform programs opt in as opposed to opt out. This policy was something that was moved forward by Board Member Thomas on our board. The other two policies, we have Board Policy 0118 on basic commitments and 0125 non-discrimination. For both of these policies, we enacted these in November of 2021 as well. And the main change that was made to these policies was that we added protected classes to the policy, specifically the classes of gender identity, sexual orientation, and citizenship status. And so that's a big win for us in terms of inclusion and also in aligning with our values. The next policy is policy 0122, data dashboard. And this is one that the future revisions to the policy are pending with the board and the CEO's staff. But we had a presentation at one of our meetings, and one of the recommendations that were made by members of the committee was that the data dashboard be accessible in multiple languages for our non-English speaking community. The next policy that we have is Board Policy 1100 on community schools. This one was enacted in November of 2021, and it was done to be in alignment with the blueprint for Maryland's Future Act. And so there was language that was incorporating all of the different various definitions and also revisions to the steering committee for community schools so that we include more groups of people. If you can't tell, we have a theme of inclusion in our committee and the way that we look at policies. The next one we have is policy 1500. That's the Parent Community Advisor Council. The changes here were really spearheaded and the accountability spearheaded by board members Queen and Adam Stafford on our board. Actually, colleagues, this policy was revised and passed in July of 2021, and it basically establishes a 15-member advisory council to the Board of Education that consists of voice of the community, parents, teachers, residents, etc. And so this policy, the implementation plan for this policy was presented to our committee in December of 2021. The next policy is Board Policy 5122. That's the interscholastic and extracurricular activities academic requirements policy. In this policy, the purpose of it is to provide notice that many struggling students require a bridge to help them achieve their academic goals through after-school mentoring programs and extracurricular activities. So we took a look at that. The revisions that were brought forward by our former board member Burrows, incoming future county council member Burrows, and the revisions were adopted by the Board of Education on July of 2021, but won't be effective until July of 2022. We also reviewed policy 5143, bullying, harassment, or intimidation, and policy 5211, student demonstrations, and policy 5151, student journalists and school-sponsored media. These were policies that we revised that were all adopted by our Board of Education in July of 2021 and effective in July of 2022. With one of those policies, the student journalism policy, being a new policy that was sponsored by our former student member of the board, Nina Jackson. We have two policies that are new, that are actually up on our website for members of the public that folks can provide public comment on at this time. That will be open until January 21st. So you have another week or so to provide public comment on these policies. These were policies, one policy is on inclusive environment for LGBTQIA+ individuals. And the other one is policy 0001, Indigenous People Land Acknowledgement Policy. The inclusive environments for LGBTQI+ people is a new policy that was sponsored by myself and student member of the board, Alvaro Cerrón Ruiz, to affirm our board's commitment to maintain a safe and conducive learning environment and to foster learning environments that honor and respect and accept the diversity of the student body, specific to members that have different gender identities or sexual orientations. The next is a policy that I sponsored, which is the Indigenous Peoples Land Acknowledgement Policy, and that's to honor and celebrate the contributions of Indigenous people, which will help build our students' understanding around the history of land and our people. There's also 4 other policies that are currently on our website that are recommended for rescission from the administrative staff. Those are Board Policy 5110, Public School Choice Transfer Option, Policy 5119.5, Adult Education Tuition Waiver, Senior Citizens, Policy 5140, No Child Left Behind, and Policy 6157, Study Habits. The last group of policies that I'll mention to you all are Board Policy 9100, Officers, Board Policy 9210, Chair, Board Policy 9220, Vice Chair, and Board Policy 9230, Secretary, Treasurer, and Executive Office. At the December meeting of the committee that we had, staff were directed to continue to work on consolidating these policies, making it one policy that addresses officers of the board. And so with that, Madam Chair, I conclude my report on all of the progress that we've made in the committee so far. I'm very excited and thankful to the members of the committee and other board members that have sponsored policies to be able to move our district forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board Member Ahmed. And again, I apologize for skipping over you. Board Member Judy Mickens Murray. You unmute yourself.
Judy, you muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Chairman Ahmed. Good report. I just wanted to remind folks that we're having to look again at the bullying, harassment, and intimidation policy because of some new requirements that the state board has given us as of December 9th, 2021. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Again, thank you, Board Member Ahmed, for your comprehensive report. Well done. Now we will move to the public comment item. Public comment. Colleagues, we have 11 registered public comment speakers this evening. And I'd like to make this note to the public comment speakers. You have been registered to speak in a public comment forum where the Board of Education will listen to your comments. The board will not address your comments. You must speak on the topic for which you have been registered. All registered speakers will have 3 minutes to provide comments. At the sound of the buzzer, speakers may complete that sentence only. Registered speakers may not relinquish any part of their speaking time to another registered or unregistered individual. Speakers may not address individuals or issues with profanity or derogatory terms. You will be warned once. If you continue, your comments will be terminated. Speakers are encouraged to use titles rather than names. For example, principal, CEO, supervisor. Please leave a copy of your comment in the file box located next to, well, you can't leave it at the file box, but please email or send your comments into the board. You can email them as well. Your adherence to these guidelines will enable a public participation process to move smoothly. For those who have registered, when you hear your name called, you may begin your testimony and you will have 3 minutes to present your remarks. Our first registered speaker tonight is Timothy Meyer, an individual from Mount Rainier Elementary PTO. Support for vaccine mandates.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. In September, I offered this board preemptive support for a full student vaccine mandate. Well, it's not preemptive anymore. COVID is once again spiraling out of control. Everyone 5 and up is now eligible for a vaccine, and the time for a PGCPS vaccine mandate is now. No more testing loopholes, no more excuses from those unwilling to do their part. Public schools means shared public responsibility. And right now, there's no greater responsibility than public health. Only 25% of county 5 to 9-year-olds have gotten even one shot. At last night's town hall meeting, 71% of parents of all ages claimed their kids were vaccinated. But C- isn't good enough on a report card, and it's a failure in a pandemic. This is one test where we must get to 100%. I fully trust Dr. Goldson to do what's right, but she can't be forced to do it alone. Too many public officials, from the county level to Annapolis, simply refuse to act. We don't even have politics as an excuse. In a supposedly one-party county, why am I and other PTO and PTA leaders forced to be the loudest voices on this issue? To any of you on this board who support a vaccine mandate, please speak out now. Pressure other public officials. Offer your support to Dr. Goldson. Whatever disagreements this board may have had in the past, politics stops at the pandemic's edge. You have the authority, you do have the authority to take action. DC Public Schools and the University of Maryland have, and PGCPS already requires many other vaccines. We mandate a vaccine for chickenpox, which kills about 20 people each year, but not for COVID, with 800,000 American deaths and counting. Keep those existing mandates, but stop appeasing the COVID holdouts. The vaccinated shouldn't be forced to play Russian roulette with our health and safety, while the unvaccinated recklessly fiddle as the world around us burns. Our kids shouldn't be forced back to virtual learning at every outbreak because some in the county were too selfish or irresponsible to get a shot. And we can't lose good vaccinated teachers who are tired of being put at risk by their unvaccinated colleagues. Get the shot or ship out. Asking nicely has not worked. A full vaccine mandate is the only way, and the time is right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Next, we will have Patrick Paschal, an individual on vaccine mandates. Mr. Paschal, Pascal.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. My name is Patrick Paschal. I am a parent of 2 students at Hydesville Elementary School. First, I want to, just on the previous topic, thank Council or Board Member Ahmed for specifically the LGBT policy changes. As a longtime LGBTQ policy advocate and a lawyer on behalf of this community, it's incredibly important that we have protections everywhere, and especially explicitly including that in our board policies. So thank you. It's really important. And I appreciate your leadership on it. Secondly, I want to thank this board and everyone here for your leadership in these incredibly difficult times. Putting safety first, closing when it was the difficult but right decision to do, announcing in person, and I swear I ran into some parents on the corner and we were literally dancing in the street on Wednesday afternoon when we heard that we were coming back in person, and taking the right steps to make us feel safe to returning in person with a good testing program and providing masks. I'm a huge fan of the work that Dr. Goldson has done and that this board has done throughout this pandemic. On the vaccine mandate, we submitted a petition with 272 parents and educators and community members. All of you received it. Now it's up to 280 signers who are asking for a vaccine requirement for all students, teachers, and staff in PGCPS schools. Allowing unvaccinated students and staff to attend the public schools is itself a public health concern. And there's not a question of authority here. Not only is it extremely clear on a federal authority level that you have the authority to institute a mandate for staff based on federal guidance from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, but you also have an opinion from an Assistant Attorney General here in Maryland that directly addresses the authority on this matter, that local education agencies can make their decisions as long as they're consistent with public health recommendations. And the public health recommendations are extremely clear on mandates. I mean, we heard Dr. Carter just yesterday begging us to get our kids vaccinated. And so no student, worker, or parent should be compelled to attend school with people who are a risk to their own health. And, you know, especially when we have the public health tools and the legal authority to require these sort of common sense public health measures in our schools. So I'm asking you to please institute a vaccine mandate immediately. And honestly, I'm disappointed that Dr. Goldson isn't here today. I know that I did call in yesterday well before 5 p.m. I'm quite confident I was one of the first people to get my questions submitted. And there's no question that I was intentionally excluded, as were many others, from being able to submit our question to Dr. Goldson and Dr. Carter. And so, you know, she's responded that she's received the petition, but she has not taken any substantive response. So here I am asking you, the board, who actually also has the independent authority to mandate a vaccine requirement, to take action tonight, right now, to at least mandate that we have the employees of PGCPS vaccinated. There is no question about the legal authority. And to the extent that there's a question around whether there is authority on the public health recommendation side, I asked that Dr. Goldson clearly state for us what it is she needs to hear from the public health officials, if it isn't already clear enough, so that we can go make sure that that authority is clearly stated. There is no question that we need this now. And while we've taken the many tools, like increasing testing, to protect our students, there is still a tool that we can take, and you have the authority to do it. So please do it for the protection of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paschal. Next, we will have Mayor Selena Benitez, individual on COVID vaccine mandate.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. Mayor Selena Benitez with the City of Mount Rainier. And I'm also a parent of a kindergarten who has her 2 COVID-19 vaccines. She's been vaccinated over a month ago. The minute it was instituted, we took her. She's a proud PGCPS student from Mount Rainier Elementary. And I'm here to speak in support of COVID-19 as a vaccine mandate, as a parent, an elected official, and a concerned community member. When I registered my daughter, as all parents, I was required to make sure my child had her vaccinations to ensure a breakage, for example, polio wouldn't happen, because we care about our students and our staff, as well as our community. Now the vaccines for ages 5 and up are approved and accessible, my child's being asked to go to school with other students that are not vaccinated. And at this point, we are asking people to let us know if they are or not. It's a risk we cannot continue to take. The data continues to show Omicron is highly infected, and vaccine and masks are key to stopping the spread. I applaud the distribution of COVID-19 masks and at-home testing for the kids. As students submit the results on Sunday before they enter school Monday morning, that only tells me that when they get tested, they are negative, and during the following days, the negative result can change, and as a highly transmittable Omicron, that's a reality. Let's be clear, testing and face masks and all the great precautions being taken do not substitute the need for a COVID-19 vaccine mandate for all of our schools. Our county has been hit severely by COVID, and the new variant continues to have a heavily impact. Statewide beds continue to be filled in hospitals, highest level of infection, lowest levels of vaccination, and yet kids are asked to continue to go to school without vaccinations that can save their lives, putting themselves, teachers, school staff, administration, community in danger. If we don't understand the severity, in one day, Montgomery County Public School System went from having 11 schools classified as having concerning amounts of positive COVID-19 cases to 126. That is more than 10,000 students and staff tested positive for coronavirus as of 4 p.m. Wednesday. That is not counting how many family members behind each of those 10,000 students and staff are also COVID positive. Our students, teachers, administration, community deserves better. A COVID-19 vaccine mandate in our schools will send a clear message that lives matter. Let's listen to science and help do our part to end this pandemic. I urge you as a board member, as a parent, as an elected official, to support COVID-19 vaccine mandates immediately. Lives will be saved. We cannot continue to risk our present and future generation. It is in your power as a school board to make the mandate a reality. And I'm here also in support of our Mount Rainier PTOs and students and parents of our community that feel the same way. And I thank our board member, Pamela Booster-Storer, for also taking initiative and lead when it comes to this mandate. We need to be able to support Dr. Golson. We need to make sure the mandate happens. We are ready to return kids to school.
Thank you, Mayor Benitez. Next, we will have Dahlia Hunt Sobers, individual uniform policy. Is Ms. Hunt available? Ms. Sobers.
Ooh, hold on one second. She's in.
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Sobers.
Hi. Yes,
Hi.
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank the board for this opportunity. I am a proud lifelong resident of Prince George's County, Maryland. I went to Ardmore Elementary School, then to Thomas Johnson Middle School, and graduated from Duval Senior High School. My daughter also graduated from Charles Herbert Flowers, and she is a graduate of Bowie State University. So we love the county. We are so proud of not just the teachers of the county, but the support staff, the janitorial staff, the cafeteria staff, the office staff who take all of the parent calls like me, because I'm one of the parents who constantly call. And I just want to take this opportunity to tell them thank you for what they do. I am calling about the uniform policy, and I was very happy to hear board member Ahmed say that there was some changes to it. Forgive me if what I'm about to address has already been addressed, but I was not aware of it. I tried to go onto the county website and did not see any update. The only thing I could locate was something from 1997 that says that many communities and school officials believe that school uniforms offer a positive and creative method for increasing school safety, reducing discipline problems, and enhancing the learning environment. The potential benefits of school uniforms include decreasing theft, instilling discipline, helping students resist peer pressure, and helping school officials recognize intruders who come to the school. The Board of Education encourages schools and communities to consider the adoption of voluntary or mandatory uniform policies. That's the only thing I can find. It was amended, it said back in 2010, but I couldn't find that amendment. My concern, one of my concerns about the county and school uniforms is, there's been a lot of talk about COVID. I understand COVID is serious, but COVID is not the only thing that concerns some parents. COVID has taught us to change. And I feel like the educational system in the state, in the country, and it's specifically Prince George's County, Maryland, has not changed. It's been the same format since I was in school and I'm turning 40. And I don't see anything that says we need to change it. So the question regarding the uniform policy that I submit to the board is, do you guys still stand by that statement? And if so, where can we find the information, the proof that uniforms have helped? I could not find discipline rates for the last 20 years, couldn't find standardized testing scores for the last 20 years, suspension rates, or if there have been any safety breaches or safety concerns within the last 20 years throughout the county. I'm not saying all of those have everything to do with school uniforms, but I do believe that
Mia, don't.
Oh, she didn't finish her sentence.
Right.
So has she gone?
I think she was. It's gone now.
Okay.
She was removed. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Sobers. We'll next have Zena Whitworth, individual community-based classroom, PGCEA, community-based classroom.
Peace and purpose, everyone. I bring you this message in the name of love for the underrepresented youth in our county. What is the world's greatest lie? That at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives become controlled by fate. That's the world's greatest lie from The Alchemist. Right now, the students, teachers, and parents at community-based classrooms are not in control of what happens. What would be their fate? The decision makers are in the room. I can tell you that when I arrived in this county in 1997 to teach at the at-risk youth program at Duval High School, that it was not, but if it was not for programs that focused on underrepresented youth who were and are plagued with everyday life, we would have lost hundreds to the prison pipeline or even the grave. Once Maryland Tomorrow's program ended, the death toll and entry into the prison pipeline increased. Fast forward, the students from Eben High School, where are they now? Dead, jail, who knows, or even cares? When good students get lost due to overcrowded classrooms and a system that is not trained to be culturally responsive to their needs, alternative programs come to the rescue, or at least they did. What about the students who have to work? What about the students who have to take care of their children or siblings? What about the adjudicated youth who is on probation and wants to learn now, but not in their old school where they've created these habits, but in a place where they can be respected and have a second chance to graduate? Why CBC, community-based classroom? Students feel like I'm too old for high school. I just want to be in a learning environment where I can be successful and grow and not be embarrassed. I only need 2 credits to graduate, but day school wants me to take 8 classes I don't need. CBS, there's no drama, and you can express yourself. I hate online school. I simply gave up. Reality check. Last week, a 15-year-old student from PG shot and killed his mother and 8-year-old brother, while another sibling slept on the floor and the 19-year-old in the bed asleep. He shot his own father twice. What would make a 15-year-old commit such an act? The father said they have been trying to get help from the school. Flashback in December, I listened to a middle school student testify about being sexually harassed. I said, thank God for community-based classroom, because when you hear the stories as to why students choose community-based classrooms or why their counselors or teachers refer them to community-based classrooms, it is because at-risk students fall through the cracks and nobody cares, but CBC cares. My ask is to remember that at-risk represents youth, those who want a second chance. Remember, CBC has one of the best graduation rates and all the data shows. What is the key to community-based classroom success? Simple: leadership, counselors, and teachers that care. Thank you for your time. And please make sure that when you look at the budget, please consider that our at-risk youth at community-based classrooms, Tall Oaks, and the last of the community at-risk schools for adjudicated and students who want just a second chance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Whitworth. Our next speaker is Glady Luz Clavijo, individual on CBC School Closing of Community-Based Classrooms.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to me. I work at CBC. CBC is an alternative school where learning experiences are personalized and offers constant support for non-traditional credit deficient students to meet their educational and behavioral needs. CBC is not a regular school. Students at CBC are able to obtain their high school diploma regardless of the hardships that life has thrown their way. Our community not only gives students a chance to obtain their credits, but most importantly, offers students specific skills that will help them achieve their goals in the future. Our community is small. We have 75 students enrolled at this time, but being small it's our secret to be successful. We have 93.2% attendance rate and 95% graduation rate. Some students have better results when they work in a small community. At Duval, my regular school, for example, we have 23 students plus. And all that community being so huge brings a lot of problems due to our high population. When I first came to CBC, I realized that I needed to personalize my teaching strategies more. I could not use the same routines that I normally use in a regular classroom. Our student population is different. They are regular age high school students who have faced adulthood too fast or unexpectedly. Some of them became parents at an early age and have to provide for their families. Others were living in a toxic environment with their parents, so they were forced to face life by themselves at an early age. Others found themselves alone, so they have to work to keep alive and away from becoming homeless. Others came to this country under difficult circumstances, and now they must work in order for them to help their families to pay a huge debt to the human traffickers that brought them here. I will always remember one of my students who shared a life lesson with me. He had to work 12-hour shift at night, and after those long hours, he would rest for 30 minutes and go to CBC to attend his classes. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, he would stay until 5:50 p.m. for my classes. He gave me a perseverance lesson that I will never forget. CBC might be a waste of money or a bad investment for PGCPS, but for CBC students, we are their only path to a successful life. Thank you very much for your time and for listening, and we hope that you choose the right decision.
Thank you, Ms. Clavijo. Our next speaker is Sarah Schaffler, individual, community-based classroom removal from proposed 2023 budget.
Hello. I became a teacher at the age of 40 after years in a career without purpose. This year marks my 9th year in public education, as well as my 9th year as the full-time English teacher at community-based classroom CBC. My time at this school has given me the purpose that I was so desperately searching for. CBC works with the smallest budget and staff in the county, yet yields some of the highest results. We have both attendance rates and graduation rates in the 90th percentiles on a regular basis. This is due to the dedication and hard work of our small staff. Our staff is laser focused on every individual student. We focus on small class sizes and engaging teaching strategies to motivate our students. Each of us gets to know who our students are, and we work with them to understand their barriers to learning. It's only through understanding that those barriers can be removed. Teaching with empathy and structure, we build a community here that our at-risk youth desperately need. We are the only high school in the county that provides a flexible schedule, allowing our 5th and 6th year seniors to go to school around their other obligations, such as parenting and full-time work. As we work with the students that failed to graduate, we provide the safety net they need to find the success they could not find at traditional larger high schools. To dissolve this school would be a grave mistake. Most of our students have tried the online Edgenuity programs and failed because they need to be motivated in school with teachers who care. We cater to the at-risk high school senior and have recovered thousands of senior graduates over the years that would not have earned a high school diploma without our program being in place. Looking at school year 2023's proposed budget is very disheartening. What has been done makes zero sense. Essentially, the county is proposing to cut 2 alternative programs, CBC and Tall Oaks, out of the school budget, creating a north and south hub location for alternative students. This takes away the specialized goals of each alternative school to reach their specific student demographic and diminishes the care provided to our most vulnerable students. With all the government money given to schools for COVID relief, the last thing our county should be doing is shutting down schools. I urge the board to vote in favor of keeping the amazing alternative high school program that is community-based classroom. Please reinstate CBC's full budget and align it with the same resources as all other alternative schools for the upcoming school year and the foreseeable future, because without it, a very vulnerable part of the student population will not only suffer, but could fail to graduate high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaffler. Next will be Julian Francis, individual on specialty schools. Is Mr. Francis here?
I don't see them on the list.
Okay, we'll move to the next. Yoki Rogers, individual on alternative schools.
No,
She's not here either.
no, she's not.
Okay, next, Mr. Martin Diggs, individual from ACE, AFSCME, local 2250.
No,
Overwhelmed workloads.
he's not here either, sorry.
Oh.
Not here.
Okay. Mr. Daniel Daughtry Wise, individual, non-agenda comment, sustainability, climate change, budget and operations.
Yes, he's in.
Okay. Mr. Wise, Daughtry Wise.
Yes, hi, just getting unmuted here. And so I can see my notes. Thank you all for being here tonight and listening to the important concerns of the community. I'm a parent of two PGS students, high school and middle school, and both are very concerned about the ominous effects of climate change during their lifetimes. And they both highly value access to wildlife, natural areas, use of friendly wildlife-friendly land maintenance practices in Prince George's County. And the high schooler has devoted his service hours to learn about and restore natural areas in our community. And so I'm here tonight to be supportive of the campaign of the climate parents for Prince George's County for creating a sustainability officer for PGCPS and using 100% clean energy. I think that it's not, I've seen that we cannot, I would argue that we cannot effectively teach our children about the natural world as we're supposed to, and what is needed to restore our planet for them and for future generations, while schools reflect backward or unsustainable practices. For the past 20 years living here, I've come to realize that Prince George's County Public Schools is a major custodian of green space and buildings in our county. In fact, I live 13 doors down from a street from one of these facilities. The staff and users of this building have window units and poorly insulated windows. Much of the landscape areas are not maintained and have significant invasive species running rampant. The educators that administer these buildings are rightly primarily concerned about what goes on inside the buildings. But with a sustainability officer and working with hotel organizations eager to support these ends, this board can better steward both the natural and financial resources while improving education. Our buildings have space for rooftop solar. The open fields are ideal for cost-efficient installation of ground source heat exchange, like the kind I've installed in my own home. These modernized heating and ventilation systems are needed for both improved ventilation in this era of evolving pandemics, and to be a good steward of long-term costs. The areas around the playing fields and buildings could and should be filled with trees and sustainable landscapes that clean the air and feed, not starve, the wildlife. So I would urge us not to let our schools become part of inequity or environmental racism while surrounding counties move forward in this regard. Let's gather together the expertise and funding to make it happen, facility by facility. Let's each do our part to avert catastrophic climate events.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Your time is up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That concludes our speakers for tonight. We also have a community member who will provide written testimony, which will be posted on board docs. Please review the testimony at your convenience. And that is Ms. Tanya Wingfield, individual, an individual on the ethics report. We also have community members who will provide a pre-recorded audio or video testimony, which will be posted on board docs. Please review this testimony at your convenience. Simone Spriggs, individual, the specialty schools, and Kate Bergfield, individual the vaccine mandate for Prince George's County Public Schools. We will now move to the consent agenda. Item 4.0. Are there any items that board members wish to have removed? If not, Mr. Burnett, please introduce items 4.1 to 4.3 under the consent agenda.
Thank you again, Chair Miller. Items 4.1 through 4.3 requires board approval of proclamations commemorating African American Reading Month, National African American Month, and our observation of Career and Technical Education Month.
Motion to accept.
Second.
It has been moved and second to accept the proclamations for the observation of African American Reading Month, the proclamation for observation of National African American History Month in February. Well, all of these are in February, and the proclamation for observation of Career Technical Education Month. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Ellis, call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed.
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Saron Ruiz.
I think you're on mute, Mr. Saron Ruiz.
Aye.
Mr. Harris. Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye.
Mr. Montero.
Aye.
Mr. Murray.
Aye.
Mrs. Queen.
Aye.
Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas. Mr. Valentine.
Aye.
Mrs. Williams.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Oh.
What's the count?
11.
11 ayes. It has been voted and approved. The motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to the next item for the budget consent agenda. Mr. Burnett, would you please introduce items 5.1 to 5.2?
Yes. We have two budget consent agenda items. Items 5.1, 5.2 requires board approval of the February 2022 expenditure requirements, which are done each month, and for a change order for a new alarm system at Stephen Decatur Middle School.
So moved.
Second.
Then moved in second to approve the two budget items, the 2022 expenditure requirements and the FY20 Stephen Decatur addition and renovation project approval for change order. Any discussion? Board Member Williams.
I'm sorry, I think Board Member Ahmed had her hand up first.
Board Member Ahmed, I'm just.
Hey, Board Member Miller. I had just wanted to provide some comments, thoughts, and just a question for administration around the change order for Stephen Decatur. I was looking through it and I was really, it jarred me a little bit, the cost of such a large change order for a project like this. But I'm looking through the documentation, it was very clear to me that there's clear justification of that project, of why that change order was needed for this alarm system. And I'm not disputing the fact that I'm more inquisitive about why was there not a fire alarm system in the original scope and the original proposal for this project? If someone can answer that question for me.
Mr. Burnett or Mr. Fawcett? Oh, Mr. Matlock.
Yes,
Thank
we have
you.
each individual.
Mr. Matlock, you are frozen.
Yes. Oh, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a fire alarm update in the original scope of the project,
You're frozen again.
What happened was after we got into the system.
Excuse me,
Can you hear
real
me
quick.
now?
Sean,
Mr.
All right, so-
Blacklock, if you can hear me, you are chopping. So do you want Dr. Fawcett to pitch in or?
yeah, I was
Well,
gonna
I'll
ask,
try.
turn off your
I'll turn
video and it.
Oh, turn off your video. Okay, thank you.
So I did. So to answer the question, yes, it was in the original scope to update the system, but it was a partial update. When we got in, we thought that more of the system would have been in better shape than it was. When we got into and started tearing things out, it was discovered that the system was much more degraded than we ever imagined. And so the contractor recommended that we replace the entire system rather than just a partial replacement. And so that's what happened.
Okay, thank you for that justification. It's hard to see a change order that is that large. But I do appreciate the level of detail and justification that was provided for this change order. And want to really encourage staff to continue to provide that level of detail because it helped me to be like, okay, now I get it, right? Like I understand why the breakdown and why this was needed in that way. So if that can be continued for future change orders in this level of detail, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Med. Board Member Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is around the FY 2022 expenditure report. And I see Mr. Herbstman is not present tonight, and that's fine. The focus really is on the actual expenditure report that is dated November 2021. Understanding that there is a couple months lapse in the reporting of the actuals. I understand that part. My question is around the line items regarding the textbooks and instructional supplies being at 5% in November of 2021. That's where I'm really focused. But then also I would like clarification on the food services. I understand that's a subsidy to our food service, being that typically it's a self-supporting line item. So if I can get some clarification around the why we are still at zero in November, knowing that we have been feeding students, 100% of our students, and what we've done over the summer. I just like to get more clarification on the expenditure around food services. And maybe we need more information around the funding that we have been, the supplemental funding that we've been getting from the government through the coronavirus supplemental money. So if I can get some information around that, that would be very helpful. And it could be done in the follow-up items for next month, for the next meeting, I'm sorry.
We can certainly do that, Vice Chair Williams. We'll get that information to you. And let's all congratulate Mr. Herbstman and his wife Erica for the birth of their first child. And that's why he's not with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Adam Stafford.
Thank you. I too had a question regarding the expenditure report. I was wondering if we could get a breakdown of what constitutes the other instructional costs that totaled about 29% of the report. If we could have that in the follow-up items as well, that would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Is
that it?
Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Queen.
Thank you so very much, Madam Chair. So my question was similar to Board Member Vice Chair Williams about the food services, even though I know it was subsidy, but the fact that it's nothing there. So I did want a little clarification on that charge and about community service. But since my hand is up and since we have questions that cannot be answered, I'm just wondering, should we make a motion that delay this section until next month?
Well,
I don't see why why we would vote on something that we're waiting for answers back to.
So are you making a motion?
Yes, I will make a motion that 5.1, I believe, and go back to look at my board out to make sure.
5.1.
5.1 will be postponed. Well, we would actually move it to our next board meeting.
You're making a motion, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're making a motion to table it until the next board meeting?
Yes.
The expenditure report for February?
Yes, yes. February 2022 expenditure requirements.
So 5.1, item 5.1.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It has been moved in second to table the February 2022 expenditure requirements. Any discussion? Oh, well, there's further discussion. Board Member Mickens Murray.
My question is, I guess, to the administration, if we table the expenditure, because the expenditure to me is we've already spent the money, what adverse action does that cause for the system?
Yeah.
Or is there one?
Well, certainly these are costs. February, is around the corner, and we're currently, spending for that particular month, and incurring costs for that particular month that have to be spent prior to the month. So I would encourage you to let us provide you with details for each category, but these are typically normal categories of spending that we have within the budget. But I would certainly get the details to you next week that you've asked for.
Well, I'll rescind my motion.
Thank you.
I'll accept.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
I have those, excuse me, Chair Miller, I have those details to you by Monday for each of the questions that you asked.
Thanks, Mr. Burnett. Board Member Ahmed.
Yeah, I understand that Board Member Queen and Williams have rescinded the motion, but I still have a question about the expenditures. If this were not, and understanding the table motion is no longer on the floor, but still related to this, if we as a board were to not move an expenditure requirement like this forward, how does that affect payroll? And would that delay payroll? And so that's not a question that needs to be answered now since it's gone, but I would like to have that question answered in the future or as a follow-up, because that was originally when the motion was made, that was my immediate thought of like, does this delay payroll at all? And so if that can be clarified in a follow-up, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Williams.
I just wanted to make clarification that my questions are in reference to the expenditures that have already been expended in November. And so I just want clarification around the percentages that have been spent during that time up to November. By November, we are about 5 months into the fiscal year and 3 months into the school year. And so my question was around really around the textbooks and purchasing of textbooks. And so I would think that we would be a little bit further along with that expenditure at that point. And so my questions have nothing to do with the expenditures that we're spending in February. It was around the actuals that have already been spent in November. So I am okay with us proceeding with approving this. And I seconded the motion just so we can get into the discussion around it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Williams. Well, now I'll call for the vote. Is there any further discussion? Now I'll call for the vote. Roll call.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed. Mrs. Ahmed. Oh, okay. Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Harris, Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Montero,
Aye.
Mr. Murray,
Aye.
Mrs. Queen,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. Valentine,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye. The motion carries to,
10,
oh, I apologize.
that's okay.
Go on, 10.
10 yeses, 2 absence, and the student can't vote on this.
Okay. The motion carries to approve the February 2022 expenditure requirements and the FY20 Stephen Decatur addition and renovation project approval change order for the new fire alarm PSC system. Okay, we'll move now to there's nothing on the non-consent agenda. So we'll move to follow-up items from the December 9th board meeting, which will be posted on board docs upon receipt. Now, 8.0, motion to confirm items taken in the executive session. A motion.
So moved.
A second.
It has been moved and second to confirm the actions taken in the executive session. I'd just like to read them for the purpose of the viewers. The motion to approve was to receive a report from the CEO regarding the administration of the school system, to discuss personnel matters regarding the appointment, employment, and removal of certain employees, decide appeals and receive legal advice about appeals and constituent concerns, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on legal matters, to discuss an investigative proceeding on actual or possible criminal conduct, to receive an update for ongoing litigation. And now I will call for the vote. All those in, is there any discussion? All those
Madam Chair, we do not want to, I'm sorry, you did talk about personnel matters. I'm sorry.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Then we'll call for the vote. All in favor, roll call, Ms. Ellis, please.
Mrs. Adam Stafford, Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Saron Ruiz, is he because of the person? I don't think so. Mr. Harris, Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Montero,
Aye.
Mr. Murray,
Aye.
Mrs. Queen,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. Valentine,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye. The motion
It's 10.
carries.
Yes.
The motion carries to confirm actions taken in our executive session.
Question.
Well, we're at that time on the agenda where a motion to adjourn. I'd like before.
Question.
Oh,
Did we approve the minutes? I don't think we did. The minutes from December 9th.
I thought we did. Oh, we didn't approve the general minutes. We
The
approved the
right.
executive session. So with that being said, would you like to make that motion, board member?
I have another question also.
Can it wait till we do this? Is it in reference to this or?
The vote we just did.
Okay, well, with the vote we just did,
Yes, ma'am.
Board Member Queen.
Yes, she said that the student board member wasn't included, but I think he is to be included because we just voted on. So I just wanted a correction because when she gave 10, it didn't include him.
Okay, because, all righty. So
He was
Mr.
able to vote on actions taken. The vote is on the actions taken in executive session. So he's allowed to submit a vote.
Okay. Mr. Saron Ruiz.
So that's 11 now, correct? Okay, with that, back to Board Member Mickens Murray.
I approve to approve the I move to approve the minutes from December 9th, public meeting.
Second.
It has been moved in second that we approve the minutes from the December 9th general meeting of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Is there any discussion, corrections? Roll call for the vote.
Okay, Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed,
Aye.
Mrs. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Saron Ruiz. You're on mute.
He said aye.
Okay. Mr. Harris is absent. Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Montero,
Aye.
Mr. Murray, Mr. Murray,
He gone.
Mrs. Queen,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. Valentine,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses and 3 absents.
The minutes for the general public meeting of the Board of Education has been approved for December 9th, 2021. Now, I'd like to thank all of you who stayed and the time that you have invested since 4, and I want the public to know, this board has been meeting since 4:45 p.m. today to take care of issues that are of concern to all of us and all of you. So I thank you for that investment of time, colleagues, and the collegiality that was demonstrated all through the meeting. With that, I'll take a motion for an
Madam
adjournment.
Chair, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn and thank our staff and everybody.
Yes, second.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation and your assistance. A motion has been made. Has it been seconded?
Yes, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? We don't need a
Aye.
roll call.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Being none, good night, everyone, and be safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Get out of here.